But yeah, you had a question. What was it?
Oh yes. So I was talking with Free Game and some subscribers the other day on the last stream.
Nice.
So the whole thing, Hokage Naruto, we know he's developed a certain level of mastery over his Toad Sage mode in
Yeah.
comparison to Shippuden. Um, so the whole thing was, if how do we scale Hokage Sage Mode Naruto to like Borishiki and Code in chapter 65? And the reason why I asked that is because I think the obvious answer is like they're so much more powerful than him. But the tactics that they're taking to fight him wouldn't indicate that. Like if you're so much stronger than Naruto, just walk over there and wash him. Why do you need to
Hmm.
take a hostage and force him to be inactive and not take an action himself? And then like it's very devious. Like I feel like this is something that you would do if you're not confident that you can defeat this opponent. And I think that has to be factored in when we scale Naruto. But what do you
Yeah,
think?
I definitely agree. He's gotten weaker for sure. We can't sit here and act like he hasn't.
Yeah.
But he still has a couple of tools in his repertoire that make him an incredibly daunting opponent. Essentially, he still has Sage of Six Paths mode, which is kind of just a battery that he can tap into that increases his reflexes, his strength, his
No, no,
durability.
that's cool. So you think he still has Sage of Six Pass mode?
Oh, I know he still has Sage of Six Path mode.
Oh, this is
He,
good. I like this.
Yeah,
but he
yeah,
should though, right?
yeah.
Like literally, he should still have it. Like everyone says he doesn't, but he definitely it's not linked to Kurama.
No, no, by no means is it linked to Kurama. It's essentially so I guess to get into it a little bit here. So his eyes change when he activates Sage of Six Path mode. He gets the cross, right? He gets the
Hmm.
stripe down.
Yeah.
And so we still see him activate that in Boruto, and obviously we see him activate it with Kurama. But does losing Kurama get rid of it? Most likely not, because I mean, think of it like this. Essentially, Hagoromo hands down like the Rinnegan to Sasuke because it's an upgrade of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Well, the six Tomei Rinnegan, and then he hands Naruto something that Naruto is good at. He hands Sasuke an optical dojutsu. He hands Naruto a battery, essentially. It's a sage mode that he can tap into, but it needs to replenish. And people try and use the fact that he can't use True Seeker orbs anymore, kind of as a point against him. But True Seeker orbs require that you have creation of all things jutsu, which is a yin yang release specific to descendants of Kaguya. So he was given those True Seeker orbs, and he was able to control them because he does have yin and yang release. But he can't make them again, and they were all destroyed or put into Kaguya's dimension. So my thing is he still has stage six pass mode, which is a huge speed stat, durability, all that kind of boost. But he also still has his regular sage mode, which gives him 5 clones that can completely refill his senjutsu chakra. And that's insane. That's insanely powerful. And I think of Kurama kind of like a large battery, a chakra system that he can tap into. Even though he now that's gone, he still has a sage mode to bring that back. And I'd say pre Kurama's death, he was a shotgun, but now he's a sniper, like Hashirama. He's able to use Froggy Kumai to increase his range. He's able to, sense. He's still an incredible sensor ninja. He's still got hands for days. His speed is borderline unmatched. And I'd say if I was going to scale him currently, I would say look at Hashirama, right? We have the perfect sage, in like Ashura reincarnate, and then just also like battle hardened, but also put like 50% more on Hashirama, because of that sage of six pass mode he can tap into. Hypothetically, she should be able to use the wood release. I don't know why we haven't fleshed that out yet. He has Hashirama's arms, he has Yin Yang release and Water and Earth release, which means that he could hypothetically access it because Moegi has access to Wood release and she has Yin Yang, Water, and Earth. And it said that she combines those in the data book to create Wood release. So he should have Wood release. Will we see that ever? Maybe. But yeah, how he scales to Otsutsuki's, I can't imagine well. I mean, at full strength, right? He still had to have Sasuke and 5 other Kage to take on Momoshiki. Had to activate Baryon mode to deal with Ishiki. So how does he deal with Code? I don't know. He could barely deal with Jigen. So I'd say obviously he poses a threat, but is that threat significant enough to merit the response that the Otsutsukis are taking? I'd say no.
Well,
And even with
mm, No, I was just saying my essential standpoint of if Naruto still has Sage of Six Paths mode. Well, first things first, he essentially activated Sage of Six Paths mode in his base mode in Boruto episode 215. So that right
Mm.
there could potentially be a point of you could point to that saying he still has it. But I'm not gonna lie, the Naruto writers, or the Boruto writers specifically, they've been trolling us because we've essentially been wanting to see Naruto in Sage of Six Paths mode for the longest, and we thought the last chapter, chapter 65, by the way, impeccable chapter. I don't necessarily blame them for this, but we thought that right there was going to be where we actually did get to see if Naruto genuinely had Sage of Six Paths. But it turns out that that wasn't the case. Naruto literally didn't fight in that chapter.
Uh-huh.
But again, I fluctuate a lot with this. As of right now, I'm gonna say no, just because in the last chapter, I personally believe that he should have done something along the lines of actually, you feel me, activate it. But then again, you have to remember Naruto almost every single time he goes into the fight in his base form, so you can't
Mm.
necessarily say that right there's like a hardcore point that you could actually stick to. I don't fully know, but as of right now, I'm just gonna kind of try to play it safe and say no. But again, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he still has it.
So
Yeah.
I think something interesting to note. He has the cross shape pattern in six paths mode. So for anyone who forgot or who doesn't know, the six paths mode is it's just that mode with the cross eyes. They're kind of like a yellow hint like hue, orange hue rather. And then he stacks KCM2 on top of that, and that's the golden form that you see in Shippuden and subsequently past that.
Mm.
If you remove Kurama, he doesn't have the golden aura or the sheen, but he still has that form. Now, the interesting thing about that, in the absence of Kurama, would his six paths form still have the cross patterns? Because the cross, the going down is the fox slit. In the absence of Kurama, could he still like basically what I'm saying is could he be in Toad Sage mode and also six paths mode simultaneously? It just looks like Toad Sage mode because he doesn't have the slit because Kurama's gone.
Well, so is that slit down really the Fox Sage mode? Because when we see
No, it's not. I don't think so.
so when we see him activate his Jin Cloak for the first time after training with Killer Bee on the Island Turtle, or no, the Waterfall of Truth, we see him activate Jin Cloak, and he doesn't have Sage Six Pass mode at that moment. So he's always stacking, at least from what we've seen, he's always stacking Sage mode on top of or under Jin Cloak. And so when he activates that first one ever, his pattern is down. But when the Sage of Six Paths get added, he gets that horizontal cross, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think that original dash down is actually from Kurama. I think it's from just or no, wait, no, he's sideways because of Sage. And then in that original Jin Cloak, it's just sideways, and then once he gets Sage of Six Paths, it goes down. So I think Sage of Six Paths is the down, and then the Sage mode is the horizontal.
Can I,
Well,
can I
here's a,
But in six paths,
you guys don't think that? Sorry to cut you off, Mello. You guys don't think that, like, from a writer's standpoint, since they took away Sasuke's power that he received from Hagoromo, that Naruto didn't get the same treatment because they kind of like
well, he took
scale
away
not the
karma.
same.
The yin yang
He
theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
He took away karma.
Yeah,
So
no, I don't hate that idea. Because yes, people have been saying every time we saw Sasuke improve, we saw Naruto improve right there with him. They're Indra and Ashtra reincarnate. And that like if Sasuke should lose it, then so should Naruto because they're yin yang. And I think yeah, Kurama is a comparable loss is my thing. But is it being from Hagoromo feels almost too specific.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So-
real quick, with the eye thing, the cross, I believe that right there is his flat out Sage mode. Well, six pass Sage mode. We've seen it even even in the war arc when Naruto essentially like completely blitzed Madara at first. He had the cross and a vertical line in his eye, even though he wasn't necessarily using karma at that particular point. The overall question has essentially always been, you feel me? Especially in Boruto episode 215, because we actually did see Naruto do this again, like without karma. Can he? Is it to where like it's his Sage mode is actually linked to karma? Because what we do understand, you need all nine-tailed beasts to actually access the mode, and because karma isn't necessarily there, would he require chakra from the nine tails to actually access that mode?
Huh. So you're saying that you need chakra from all of the nine-tailed beasts to access Sage of Six Pass mode, is what you're saying.
Well, that's essentially what was implied. Well, again, we don't fully know. This is just all conversation, but
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
Neither have I.
I've heard it before.
Y'all haven't heard that?
Yeah, I heard it before because Kurama's supposed to be like holding the sanctuary down, pretty much. And, yeah, if that sanctuary is taken away, then the power of Hagoromo is
now.
also...
What Free Game's talking about, like he's supposed to be the protector of the meeting place, which is just Naruto. But that was like it was more so like Kurama could have been free, but he was like reluctantly like pretending like he didn't want to stay, and I think that was just an excuse to let him stay without embarrassing him too much. I think that was kind of like a little funny thing.
Yeah, he's a tsundere. Kurama's a tsundere. Easy as that.
Hey, yo.
I think that was more. I think that was more comedy than anything. Like I wouldn't take that. Like my whole thing is like I don't even know. Like for me, like okay, two things. Number one, the whole cross going down, the Fox Kurama KCM2, the eyes going down. I think that was him combining those two visually for the mode. I think that's a representation of that. Can he still have the slit going down in the absence of Kurama? If it's just a visual representation, maybe. But I think that slit in the cross, that's not coincidental. But that's neither here nor there. The whole thing with Sasuke getting the Rinnegan from Hagoromo, I'm not sure about that because when Madara is a reincarnate of Indra, and he incorporated Hashirama's cells, which is the reincarnate of Ashura, thus creating a Hagoromo's original energy, manifesting the Rinnegan. For Sasuke, him being the reincarnate of Indra, Kabuto put Hashirama's cells, the reincarnate of Ashura, thus manifesting the original chakra Hagoromo, which is why he was able to manifest to begin with, that being Hagoromo. And then he gets the Rinnegan from that process from Kabuto, and then maybe if we want to add on like the 6 Tomo on the Rinnegan, maybe that comes from Hagoromo's contribution. I'm not certain on that. I'm curious.
Well,
my whole thing is Sasuke's Sharingan right now in Chapter 65 landscape still being amped by 6 Pass Chakra, even though he doesn't have the Rinnegan?
Well, so that's actually an interesting. It's a cool theory you brought up that it was Kabuto healing him for Madara stabbing him through the heart with Hashirama's cells that allowed him to awaken the Rinnegan. My only problem with that is though we saw Madara link up to Hashirama's cells relatively early in his incredibly long life, and it wasn't until the very end of his life that he awoke to the Rinnegan. So it's not instantaneous. So certainly not at least from what we've seen, like what like the data that we have, it's not instantaneous. So I think it was more to do with Hagoromo.
Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah,
Keep
of course.
going.
And then I don't think his Sharingan is still being amped by Sage 6 Pass Chakra because I think it was just kind of upgrading his eye. That was what Hagoromo was going for. My whole thing with Sasuke, just moving on, is the fact that the eye that he lost, the 6 Tomei Rinnegan, was his Amaterasu eye, and his other eye was just Kagatsuchi. And Kishimoto conveniently forgot that each MS is supposed to have one technique, and if you lose said technique, you can't use that technique anymore. And now Sasuke can still use, Amaterasu and things like that, when technically losing that eye should have lost him the ability to almost use any MS ability, because Kagatsuchi, we know, is just flame control. And now, hypothetically, without flames to control, his other MS would have literally no ability. So that's my biggest thing with if we're talking Sasuke's MS in the newest chapter, is the fact that he can still use the ability that he shouldn't have access to.